America's nightmare. I am what you made me, the hate and the evil that you gave me. I shine as a reminder of what you have done to my people. For 400 plus years, you should be scared. You should be running. You should be trying to silence me. But you can't escape fate, for it is my turn to come. Just as you rose, you shall fall by my hands. This is Tupac Shakur on Words of Wisdom on the Tupacalypse album. This is essentially a summary of everything that Tupac stood for and represented, being the representation on what this country has done to black people. Because of this, a lot of things happened to Tupac. Tupac was censored, Tupac was targeted to a lot of different things. And not to mention his connection to the Black Panther Party. You see what I'm saying? Tupac was marked the moment he was born. But I've been thinking about it lately. Tupac might have got his revenge after all, bruh. Real talk. In a lot of cases. You see what I'm saying? So much so that this is gonna be a series. This episode will just be one part of a series of the revenge that Tupac actually did end up getting. Now, what this first episode is gonna be about actually happened extremely recently. And it's the main topic of discussion in hip hop right now. But before we get to that, we have to understand what happened when Tupac was removed from this earth. Now, what a lot of people don't understand as why Tupac is still relevant to this day, why Tupac's energy and everything that he left behind is still prevalent to this day, is because Tupac's spirit represents rebellion. And because the core of hip hop has always been rebellion, Tupac's spirit is never going to die. Tupac wasn't just admired because he made incredible music and all this different stuff, right? Tupac was admired because he stood in the face of adversity time and time and time again and remained strong, remained rebellious. You couldn't make him tuck his tail. And any society that wants to control the narrative and the status quo is going to deem somebody like a Tupac as dangerous because he challenges people's minds to think differently. Not only does he challenge people to think differently, he challenges people to maintain that rebellious energy. You see what I'm saying? So in Tupac's death, he became the spirit of hip hop. And you're able to quiet it down at sometimes, but every time it needs to come out, it will. This brings me to Drake. Now, even though Drake is years and years after Tupac passed away, he plays a major role in what this video is about. Another person who clearly plays a major role in what this video is about is Kendrick Lamar. Now, before I break that down, I want to break one more thing down to y'all. And that's Tupac's fight against censorship during his run in the 90s. Tupac's music faced various forms of censorship, both from record labels and within the broader cultural landscape. This includes edits of his songs for radio play, attempts to suppress his more controversial lyrics, and even claims of broader state-sponsored censorship efforts targeting his work. There are not a lot of artists that this country has gone after as hard as they went after Tupac. Tupac's music, with its often confrontational and political themes, sparked debates about the boundaries of free speech and artistic expression. And even when we talk about cultural censorship, some argue that rap music, particularly Tupac's, has faced a double standard in terms of censorship compared to other genres, like heavy metal, which have not endured the same level of direct governmental interference, even though some of that music was targeted at the government, which is interesting. Censorship of Tupac's music, particularly the suppression of themes related to racial injustice, poverty, and police brutality, can be seen as an attempt to silence critical voices and maintain the status quo, which is why hip-hop being reminded of its core values is extremely important, by the way. In essence, Tupac's music faced a complex web of censorship, from the practicalities of label edits and radio airplay to broader legal and political debates about the nature of his art and its potential impact. Then we fast forward to Drake, somebody who has been, quite literally the biggest industry plant in the history of the genre. There's nothing to talk about I don't care about you fake neutral niggas. This is the biggest industry plant in the history of the genre. Every issue that Tupac had to face as an artist in the 90s, from political people, from news stations, etc., is all embodied in the rapper that is Drake. Not to mention, Drake has disrespected Tupac constantly, even saying that he uses Tupac's music to use the bathroom. His toilet opens and it plays Hit 'Em Up and all this other stuff, and he uses it to use the bathroom. Not only that, but we find out for years, Drake has been censoring artists, including Pusha T. They engage in a battle, Drake loses the battle, and from that point on, he goes to censor Pusha T's responses by making sure they can't come out. Who does that sound like to you? What does that sound like to you? That sounds like the exact same political system that didn't want Tupac's message to get out there, so they censored him. Drake is using these same exact tactics. And then we get to this Kendrick and Drake battle, and Drake uses Tupac's voice in AI to diss Kendrick Lamar. This is when I'm like, okay, this reminds me when America went over to the Sumerian temples and destroying all the artifacts, taking everything. That's what this dude Drake be doing. He's going in there playing with legacies, playing with the ancestors, buying Pharrell's chains and then talking about he'll burn it and fuck heritage and all this different shit. That's exactly what this was to me. This was just another colonizer tactic to destroy history and minimize history. You see what I'm saying? He couldn't even get Tupac's cadence on point. He just took Tupac's voice and rapped in his way. Next thing you know, after Drake disrespects Tupac's legacy, what happens? Kendrick Lamar turned up the energy. And not only that, pays homage to Pac multiple times during this battle, which leads to Tupac's name being in the biggest diss track in the history of the genre. In the history of the genre. Not only that, this song is on the way to being the biggest rap song in the history of the genre. It might already be. It broke the record for being on the Billboard. It broke the record for being on the Billboard. They had to reset it because it maxed out at 53 weeks, bruh. And Tupac's name is mentioned in this song in defense. Not only is it named in this song, it's named in one of the most important parts of the song. The part where Pac is named gets the crowd the most lit. I swear to God. Does it not? Hey, it's all eyes on me and I'm going to send it up to Pac. That turned the crowd into a whole different energy. And that's to say, on the precipice of this genre going in a direction that it would never return, away from the values forever, Tupac's spirit was at the center of it. Tupac's spirit was at the center of the most important battle in hip-hop history. It was the battle for the genre. That's what y'all don't understand. You couldn't have a battle for country. You couldn't have a battle for jazz. But hip-hop is based in battling. Because it's political, it's anti-establishment, it's automatically in battle. It's a competitive sport as well. And this is why maintaining our values is important, because you can forget that. And when Tupac's spirit come outside after that disrespect, Drake is on the biggest decline he's ever been on. Drake hasn't been the same since this battle took place. Nobody even know that Drake dropped a song on the same day that Kendrick did a show. He thought he was going to do some Kendrick shit, but he don't got that type of power or influence anymore. The whole world calling him an Edo, all this different stuff. And I think part of that is from speaking on the ancestors. Tupac's spirit, that's revenge for you. You see what I'm saying? This is the first episode. You feel me? We're going to do a lot more. We're going to talk about Diddy. We're going to talk about the industry itself. We're going to talk about a lot. Because Tupac got revenge in a lot of situations, whether you know it or not. Like, comment, subscribe, and happy motherfucking birthday to one of the greatest to ever do this shit. In my mind, the greatest to ever do this shit, Tupac Shakur. You feel me? We finna do a listening party on lives, So, matter of fact, I'm gonna drop this after the live. That's better. I'm gonna drop this after the live, for sure. Fuck it. Subscribe if you're new here. Subscribe if you ain't new here. You see what I'm saying? Love y'all. Catch you later.